Sinus Iridum, the apple bite, and the city. The mountain consists of many mountainous areas, platform-like areas, square symmetrical with the city atop it, and changes China's rover. Um, Laplace A is where they were supposed to land, the crater, and there's a nearby wrinkle ridge. And the thing about landing a rover on the moon, what it would do, they would be able to go directly to the ejecta in the mare of basalt. That's the Imbrium Sea of Rainbows. What's going on is they say this crater is formed and was so hot like a cauldron inside that it expanded outwards, and there's a melt there. So all the debris would have followed into the melt. And the ejecta, what we often hear about, is that white rim that they say is very reflective, even though the moon is only 11% reflective of sunlight. They say that inside of the ejecta, it's the characteristics of the entire crater and from deep down inside of the surface lies there because it automatically bubbles up and lies inside of this ejecta. So this wrinkle trail that's near the Laplace A crater, which when you look under the apple bite, you'll see one lonely crater there, and that is Laplace A. Beside to the right, a wrinkle ridge where of ejecta that China has been interested in, and so has other space stations, including NASA. Now, these probes on the rovers that they send up have ground penetrating radars that over Sinus Iridum or anywhere they would land would easily be able to find any piping or tunnels underneath the surface, the simple drive, straight drive through, being able to pick up geologic characteristics. This is what the rover is there for, we're assuming. See the massive bridge over top there connecting the structures. Very, very apparent that they are there, and it depends on how we look at them, how close we get. Here's the end of Sinus Iridum, the left side of the apple bite, and the flat platforming structures that on top have other symmetrical and some unsymmetrical building structures on top of them. See here in the surrounding vicinity, I posted it on a recent video, the terrain, how detailed it is, how close the structures are to one another. Like any planet, like here on Earth, looking overhead view, you could see massive buildings or mechanical devices that are always one beside the other. The colors, like this red in this region, massive, massive red that looks like a haze, a red haze. It could be red gases, CO2, something that is on the surface. You can clearly see that it's in the photo apart from the structures. It seems to be over top of the structures. These photos are very, very good photos to be able to see the terrain. You can clearly see at the back all the elevated stair-like levels. It looks like an ancient city. It's beautiful. And why have we not ever seen these shown on the surface? They're there. There are many levels. They're like puzzle pieces into one another. And here, the light shown to see the colors, massive colors on the bottom. It's incredible the colors that are there. And of course, you can see the detailed contouring, outlining of the surface of the terrain, which even often looks like coastlines at times. And they talk about bringing back lunar soil. You know, you read that. I read it in the news, and they said the lander, Chinese lander, will operate for a year while the rover is expected to work for some 3 months. After this, a mission to bring samples of lunar soil back to Earth is planned for 2017. But if you want some now, pick some up on eBay. I mean, come on. The first time soil is going to be brought back to Earth, but everyone has moon dust. Come on. You know, they're talking about a crewed lunar mission in uh, the 2020s. What do you mean 20s? 2020s. We still gotta wait like 5, 10 years to see a man on the moon. I'll be 50 or 60 before I see a man on the moon. What the heck? This is a real joke. During the news, China, they showed a giant screen at the Beijing Aerospace Control Center in Beijing. They showed an animated image of the module landing on the moon, and they posted that in the news. An animated module. They also had the Jade Rabbit rover seen in the artist's impression as the first wheeled vehicle on the moon since the 1970s. The photo looks actually real. It's just a photo of them. Scientists also celebrated at the control center in Beijing after China's first lunar touched down. They show 4 people with their hands together looking up at a screen that you cannot see. Is it so hard for you guys to show us what's up there? See, everyone's paying for it. Everyone on Earth is paying for deep space missions. Trust me, I know it. I'm sure. I'm positive of that. All these ways that we have now to see the surface, and in Sinus Iridum, and I don't know if the rover is going to go around a little square because there's not much room to get around. It can climb 30-degree slopes, they say. Well, 30 degrees, more like 180 degrees. Look at all these mountainous areas. The Applebite's right there at the bottom, Sinus Iridum, and that white crater that looks white really close to it. Here it is to the right, and you can see the contouring of it. It's not natural. It's all these white lines are the platforms that are holding all the other structures on top of them, and very, very detailed structures, bridges, overpassing bridges, underground entrances that you could see, sort of structured building like small buildings. Would be pretty massive, but we're seeing them smaller. And this entire ridge at the back, line at the back that you see was all built, overlaid, all these levels that go up and over each other that are all connected also to each other. It's the real thing, you know. You want to see an outline of the surface, well, here it is, and it's very unnatural. Very high walled mountain, supposed mountain behind Sinus Iridum, ever so high off the surface, and isn't even touching each other. All these different parts are, some of them are not even touching each other, but, and you can see here, this is the structure at the end of Sinus Iridum on the left, the platform-like structures. And when you look close, I want you to look inside of the magnifying glass to the bottom left. Look how these structures are connected. They're all connected. They're connected to smaller central-like structures that seem to be center points between the structures, so that you'll have tunnels leading to a smaller structure, all in unison, sort of has tunnels all the way around it, which you could either probably descend levels there, maybe. I'm trying to use common sense if we're comparing to how we build here on Earth, because some of these really do look human-like, or just basically, how do you want, there's only so many ways to build, right? You can build many different structures, but the idea of building and how we build is only a limited way of building the proper way, symmetrically, for example. Now here's a very close shot of the Sinus Iridum, and we're right into the mountain, and there's that bridge that I'm saying to the right. We see very well, and even in photos that you cannot see the city, you can see that white light there.